Hi guys and welcome to my channel. Today I am doing a paint review of Sennelier Watercolours. These watercolours are produced in France. They're a French company. They are a professional brand of watercolours. Many artists use them. They're very well known for having lots of honey in them, so they're very good for glazing and they're very transparent. Now, I bought this set on eBay. It's not the original set. This original set has 14 colours, has about 5 reds in it. I've seen another YouTuber recently review this. I will leave their link in the description. Now, this set, what drew me to this palette was the design of this set. It's quite a unique design. It's very different for a plastic palette, which is very interesting. I don't usually like plastic palettes, so they can be feel a bit cheap. There's not a lot of mixing space in this palette. I'm guessing this is more intended as a travel set, as it does only hold 14 colours as well. Now, the colours that the person who sent this to me decided to include was Sennelier Yellow Light, Cadmium Yellow Light, Cerulean Blue, Terra Vert, French Vermilion, Alizarin Violet Lake, Red Violet, Mars Yellow, and 2 warm sepias, strangely. I'm not sure why. I guess I'd say this person sells paint palettes and like their own custom paint palettes. They had just some left over and put them in a palette. It's quite interesting, some of these colours, because they're not normal colours that you would get in a palette from most places, such as French Vermilion, it's Cernelius Blue even. Cernelius Blue and Terra Vert, they're not the normal primary colours you would get. You would normally get like a cadmium red, Prussian blue, or like ultramarine blue. And the greens tend to normally be sap green or viridian green. So this is really refreshing, really to work with. I'm going to swatch these colours today, and hopefully I'm going to also try them out, do some painting of them so I can give a fair review of them. Let's put them to practice and work with them. So right, let's start by swatching. I've drawn a swatch chart. I've left some rows so I can stick the pan labels in, as I don't usually do this, as I don't normally buy half pans. I tend to usually buy the tubes and fill my own. It's more economical. But this was I didn't want to spend loads of money on buying 10 different tubes of Sennelier paint when I can just buy like a cheap set. I think this only cost me about £20 on eBay. It's pretty priced. Right, so let's start swatching. So the first colour in this is Sennelier Yellow Light. So I'm not pre-wetting my pans just to see how easily the colour lifts. It does lift really easily. I'm getting quite a good amount of colour off of this on my brush. So let's see if I can zoom in. There we go. Now that to me, no, I thought that might have been a bit of a, read the name is, I thought this might have been like a lemon yellow, which I really dislike. That to me looks like a cadmium. Alright, let's pull this out, see how well it flows. It doesn't actually flow very well. Usually artist quality paint really flows, and you can really tell. That's what really shows the difference when you compare it next to a student brand. Right, next colour is Cadmium Yellow Light. This looks more sort of lemony than the previous colour. It's a lighter version of this. I wouldn't, if I was making a palette and putting a palette together, I wouldn't necessarily have put this colour, these two colours, because they're so similar to each other. However, there is a better flow with this paint. This one, the shadows definitely flows a lot better. You can see this just seeping into the water I put down. Right, the next colour is Sennelier Blue. I'm not sure if that's cerulean blue or if it's a different. We'll find out. I'm not sure if I have a cerulean blue actually in my normal palette. So, I mean, that is a really nice blue. It's a real like sky blue colour. Just a bit more. Right, let's see how well it flows. Blues tend to flow very well, normally. Yeah, this is really flowing. Just eating up the clean water that I'm putting down. Looks like there might be a little bit of granulation in that as well. Right, the next colour is Terra Vert, which is an unusual green to include. It's quite a dark green, quite a cool green. So I'm not sure why they chose for this. This one is actually not lifting as well as the other three colours I've just tried. I have to work it a little bit more. Let's try. It's very pale. It's right. I found this was with another Terra Vert as well that I tried recently from the Winsor & Newton palette that I got. I thought it was just because it was old. But this is really struggling to re-wet. See, I don't think I like this colour that well. It's like a brown green colour. See, I couldn't really see myself using this colour. It's very murky green. It's like a sea sort of green, like a dirty sea colour. Let's see what it's like when it flows okay though. Just very not getting a lot of paint off of it at all. Not much colour at all. It's really disappointing actually. Try a bit more water. I guess you'd use it more as like a undertone green more than normal. I wouldn't paint any landscapes in this colour. The next colour is one I'm really looking forward to. It's a French vermilion. I always like the vermilion colours because they can either be really red or really orange. I do prefer the red versions of vermilion. This reacts really well. This isn't what I'm getting confused with because the Terra Vert really took quite a lot to work at, whereas all the others are just lifted. That is a really good French vermilion. It's a really beautiful red. I'm really glad that it's included in this set. It flows really well. Looks a little bit like a previous colour I've used by Winsor & Newton called Rose Carp. I mean, they are really similar. So that pinky reddy sort of colour. Right, next ones. Next colour in this is Alizarin Violet Lake. It's a bit of an unusual colour. It looks on the packet to be sort of like a purple colour, whereas the other red violet tends to be looks like pink. So let's give this a go. It's lifting quite well. Some water on there. Oh, that's like a mauve. I don't think I've got a purple like this in my set. I've got the Deoxazine Violet. That's quite a nice. It's a very warm one, this one. Quite like this actually. Let's see how it flows. Yeah, and as I expected, it flows really well. Some paint gets going. It blooms really well. Most violet colours do, violet and purple colours do tend to flow really well. They get that from they share that with the blue pigments as well. So next is Red Violet, which looks more pink. Oh, looks a bit more purple on my brush. Let's have a go. Lots of water. Don't want it to be too dry. Oh, that's not a pink. That's definitely a violet. It's a little bit of a lighter version of the dioxazine, which I'm used to using. So this should flow excellently. And it does. It's just eating the water that I'm putting down. Right, the next colour is Mars Yellow. I guess they decided to include this instead of yellow ochre, but I think this is a yellow ochre colour really. It's that sort of yellow, that browny golden yellow colour. Yeah, this is definitely looking like an ochre. So I'm guessing they're using the same sort of pigments. I'm not sure I'm liking this paper. This is only cheap watercolour paper I'm using, but it's really soaking up the water, which is not good because the paint is drying far too quickly. Right, let's try that, see how that flows. Earth colours do tend to flow really well as well, yeah, and it is. It is flowing beautifully. It's a really nice golden colour. I can really see myself using this one. I'm going to enjoy this, I can tell. Now I've got two warm sepias here. Now I'm not sure if they're different. They both have the same product code, same name. The packets are different coloured. One is really faded, one is really sort of dark. Let's see if I can show that. These are the two warm sepias. Just focus that. There we go. So they're both very different. So I'm going to try them, see what they're like. Okay. So the first one's got a bit of a crack in it. It's broken actually. It must be broken in having postage or in storage. I'm not really a big fan of warm sepia. It's like a dirty brown, black colour. Yeah, it's the same as most sepias I've seen. It does flow fairly well. Not brilliantly, but it's okay. Right, let's check the second warm sepia, see if it is the same. It looks the same, like in the pan it looks. It's a tiny bit more difficult to activate this one, maybe it's drier or older. So yeah, I think that's the same. Looks a bit darker. Maybe I'm just a bit able to get more of a pigment load off of it rather than the other one. Yeah, it's looking pretty similar. So I'm guessing they're the same colour. Yeah, they are. So I'm just going to leave these to dry and I'm going to come back to it and see how it looks when they're all dry. Okay, now I'm back and the colours have dried. Now, one of them's still a little bit wet, but the rest have all pretty much dried to the touch. Yeah, and there's not masses of colour shift in drying. I think the one that really has sort of changes the Sennelier blue and the cadmium yellow light, and the sepia is dried quite lighter as well. Now these colours are really nice colours, some of them. I really like this vermilion colour. I'm really looking forward to working with that one. So these two violet colours there are looking really really nice as well. Very interesting sort of to work with. This green is going to be difficult to work with. I really don't like this green. It's a very washed out sort of dirty green colour. Same with the sepias. I don't really see myself. They're going to be difficult to incorporate for me in what I paint. But I'll give it a go and we'll see what the results are and how I find these. I do like the looks of the colours and some of them do flow really well and nicely. So overall I'm happy with these paints. I do not think they will become a new favourite. We'll have to see what it's like when I work with them. Hopefully I'll have an interesting result. Right, now some time has passed since I have swatched these colours out, and I've come to notice a few interesting things about them. First thing that I came to find out is that these are the old Sennelier paints. Back in 2012, Sennelier reformulated the paints, adding more honey in them and changing the colours and some names and think they brought out a few new ones, got rid of some old ones, so I'm going to go over those in a second. This is a tube of the new line, more honey, and I've not had a chance to use this yet. It's the same colour that I have in here. Perhaps this is why a lot of recent reviews say the paint is a little more less vibrant recently and fades a little bit more for layering because of the honey. So if I bring back the colour chart, I stuck all the labels on. I will go through some of the differences from the old line to the new one. From what I found, the old line does have most of the same colours. Some have been removed or altered or just renamed. So the cadmium yellow light, Sennelier blue, French vermilion, warm sepia, they are all unchanged in the new line. They are the same names, same pigments, probably just more honey added to them. The Terra Vert has been renamed to green brown, and it says on their website that the pigment they used is PBR7, which is the same one used for like a burnt sienna, which doesn't feel right for me. Maybe that's a misprint, I'm not sure. And the other simple change we've had is the alizarin violet lake. I think it's called alizarin crimson lake now rather than violet lake. It's still the same pigment, still the same colour, just had a bit of a name change. Now there are two here that have had pigment changes. First one is Sennelier Yellow Light. It has gone from PY154 to PY153, so it's not quite the same. The pigment of PY154 is Azo Yellow Light in most other brands, so you can still find it. And the other one which has been changed is the Violet Red Lake, Red Violet even, which has been changed. I think it's PV1 is a fugitive pigment and they've replaced it with a different one. I believe it's still a similar colour to this. And now one which I'm a little bit sad about is the Mars Yellow. Has been completely removed from their line as the pigment PO49 is no longer available, it's run out. So that is, you can't get that colour anymore, or that pigment. Now if I flip this over, I have done a colour wheel with all the primary colours. So these are the colours I use. So I use the French Vermilion, Sennelier Yellow Light, and the Sennelier Blue. Now Sennelier Blue, I forgot to mention, is actually a phthalo blue with white pigment added. So don't get confused, it's not a cerulean blue like it might sound. And as you can see, I've got quite a nice range of oranges and greens. Now I much prefer these greens to the Terra Vert green, which is included in the set, which is such a waste. I really don't like that green. Next, I got okay purples, but you don't really get, it's hard to mix into good purple, really. It's best to buy them, but it's very good. Yes. Now I've done a few paintings with this paint. I will show those in a speed paint video. I've done 2 so far, and my findings of the paint have been really positive. They really worked very well. They're very easy to work with. You can really dilute them down to help with the layering, but as well, straight from the half pan, they can be also used very thick. If you put loads of water on top of the half pan, it will dissolve the paint a little bit, but it will make it like it's come out of the tube, so you can like scoop a little bit up and put it on your palette. That is very useful for if you want to have larger washes. You can almost sort of scoop the paint out, add it to your palette and have a larger wash. As well, it also helps if you like to paint a little bit thicker, which is quite nice to do sometimes in some areas where you want a thicker paint a little bit more quicker, which is really good. Now the colours in particular I'm enjoying from this set are the French Vermilion and the Sennelier Blue. I've been using those quite a lot in both the paintings I've done with them, to the fact that I have purchased the French Vermilion in the tube, and I probably will be purchasing a Sennelier Blue as well at some point, because I do really like it, and maybe one of the violets, maybe, we'll see. Now colour which I did say I disliked in the swatching was the warm sepias, and I've used them a little bit and I'm actually enjoying them a little bit more than what I would thought I would. So Also, another good point about this brand is they're quite cheap watercolours. Don't know if I said that previously, but the tubes, I think they're just over £5 for a tube, but these are a 10ml tube. Most brands do it in 5 or 6 for that price, so it's very good. You can double the paint. But then again, if it's quite a fading paint, as in it's used for layering, it could take you more of the paint. I've read in one review. You need more of the paint to get an intense colour, so that could be a downside that I would have to have a look at. But overall, it's been a very positive opinion on this paint. I really enjoy it. I'm not going to say it's my favourite brand, maybe. I've yet to work a lot with some other brands, but I definitely really like this paint, and maybe would consider purchasing more colours in the future. Hopefully, once I've tried all the paint from the brands that I've got higher up on the list to try. I've got so many. But no, I really like this paint, and if you're looking for a really good brand, good professional brand, I definitely recommend Sennelier. It's easy to pick up, bright, vibrant colours, easy to mix, good range of colours, cheap, widely available. It's just a really nice paint. It's good for layering. It doesn't lift too much off the paper, but yeah, if you do want to lift it, you don't have to really scrub too much, so it's really good. So it's a really good paint. I do recommend it. So thank you very much for joining me in this watercolour review. Now, and I will also say that it's based on my own personal opinions. Some people do not like this paint, some love it and will only work with this paint. I really do like it, and I will be using it again in the future. So thank you for watching, and please do subscribe to my channel. Bye.